In the conversation we had before, we talked about the way we communicate ideas to people, and again, it's another sales. I don't want to say technique. That's not the right word, but another thing to understand when it comes to marketing ideas is this idea about how people make decisions. And we talk about logic and we talk about emotions. You alluded a little bit to emotions there, but I've learned that most people make decisions emotionally first, and then they back it up with logic. But I think we can both agree that many of the marketing messages that we see in this movement, they start with logic, they start with facts, and we try to slam those facts into people, and we're not understanding emotions. And so I think that there's something to be said for, marketing these ideas correctly.
Yeah, I definitely, at least from, the sources that I'm into, they're not, there's mostly political pieces and market studies and market research and, this and that, and, quoting Hayek and saying this is how things should work. And that's great, that we have that information that we can then back up, but we've got to connect with people on an emotional level if they're going to hear our message.
I think back to one of the founders of this country, and I can't think of a much more of an emotional message that resonated with lots of people throughout history than Patrick Henry, right? Give me liberty or give me death. If you think about what that means, that's pretty emotional base right there. But it definitely carries a lot of weight to it.
Yeah, and it shows the stakes. I mean, I guess, when we talk about slavery, I think it's real easy to say how wrong that was because, you're ruling over somebody's life and even the most benevolent, if you dare use that word, slave owner, no matter how nice they might possibly have been, they still did not allow, the freedom. They were enslaving and keeping another person down, which, from our perspective, is just so wrong. And to try to say that anything that we might possibly experience in our lives in the 21st century could equate to that, we can't, right? We have such a better life. And so we don't see those stakes. Patrick Henry did understand liberty or death, and it was absolute. There was no room for moderation. This wasn't, well, give me a little bit of freedom, or I dare you to punch me in the face. But because our lives are so comfortable, we're living in the best time in history, and one of the best quality of life, one of the best standards of life, that in the best place on earth in many ways to be living with a high quality of high standard of living. So then to kind of to argue against oppression seems absurd to a lot of people. And I can respect that. When I put it that way, it's like, yeah, what are we arguing about? But we can't forget that that's where this started. That's where this experiment of America started. And they really looked at what is the purpose of government. They didn't have to form a government. And in fact, if you read the Federalist Papers, there you go, the Federalist Papers and the Anti-Federalist Papers, they were making those arguments. Do we need a centralized government? Should we have one? Should we not? So I think to go to not look at that and to see how far we've gotten away from that intent is disheartening. Mm-hmm. And, we talked about seeing the Matrix. To me, as great as life is and as wonderful as our standard of living is, I can only imagine how much more things we could be doing, things that could have been invented by now, affordability. People bemoan how folks go bankrupt from just having an illness because of the cost of health care and the insurance. And I think, if we didn't have the somewhat oppressive system that we do, if we had a free market solution for everything, I think that would all go away. That's what I see. I see the matrix. I don't see, we need government to do more. I say we need government out of the way so we can fix these minor few problems that we do have. Mm-hmm. Life could be so much better, and I fantasize about it, probably to my detriment.